Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture. Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. Today is a big day. It is our first birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Not like our birthday, like the podcast.
Yes.
We're older than one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, pause. Celebration time.
Yeah.
Celebration time. Here we go.
Our goal is to not light our hair on fire.
Happy birthday to us.
Yeah, hurry up because
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to us.
Got it. We did it.
What was your wish?
That we...
You're not supposed to tell me.
Okay.
That was a trick. You failed.
I didn't say anything.
Failed the test. Put the fire down.
Okay, let's...
Oh my gosh. Happy birthday to us. I cannot believe it has been an entire year.
An entire year. It's so good.
Before we proceed, do you want to mention our sponsors?
We would like to thank...
We're dying laughing because we are at the porch. You've heard us talk about this on the podcast.
You guys, this is so much energy happening right now.
We're so excited. You've heard us talk about the porch on the podcast before. You've heard us talk about burn barrels and ice creams, and we are here. This is
Greg and Shirley, who at this point just sound like our brother and sister.
Right. Mom and dad.
So yeah, mom and dad. So they are on vacation. And so we helped ourselves to the porch and the heaters. And for some reason, God is blessing sunshine. Well, it'll come back in a second. This is like the only spot. We've been looking for sunshine all morning.
Right.
And once we got here, God's like, this is where you're supposed to be. Here's the sunshine.
We should also mention that the sponsors are sponsoring us unknowingly.
Yeah. They don't know. You do now.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us celebrate our birthday on your porch.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just talk about the last year. We've officially had a podcast for an entire year. We have posted one episode every single week. We've done the work. Most people who start a podcast do not make it to a year. Did you know that?
I didn't. And so when you were so like, you're like, I'm so proud of us. I was like, you need to calm down. Like, this isn't like easy, Julia. But then I get that you have this information. Like, oh, so we're just more badasses than we normally are.
Obviously.
I'm
not surprised.
But what's interesting to me, though, is I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like why we want to start the podcast, because I think that's the important part is that the drive that we have to do this is bigger than us.
Yeah.
We felt so led by God to do this and to share our story and to just be a community for people who could relate to us. Mm-hmm. But I also want to talk about the amazing things that have happened that we didn't anticipate.
Yeah. I love that.
So a little bit for me, I felt you were living with me at the time. Mm-hmm. You and I were up the canyon like every day having amazing conversations. And we're like, gosh, we are one, the funniest people. And two, like we have good conversations. Like we wish we could bring people here.
Just really good, raw, vulnerable conversations where we're going from, entering the canyon and we are like crying because life is hard and heavy to,
yes.
3 seconds later, laughing our butts off.
Dancing.
Singing, screaming, like all those things, right? And then we're having really raw emotional conversations and healing at the same time.
We're just hitting all the emotions.
But also like, do you have a chicken wing recipe that I can use for next week?
Right.
All of it.
Like what is for dinner?
Right.
Yeah. No, this is that. So we wanted to bring that out, but then also like we each had experiences where we felt like God individually was just like, you guys need to do this. One of them for me was I was up the canyon journaling, and this older gentleman, I was sitting on my car as one does, and I was journaling, and he was just like, what are you doing? And I just kind of shared with him. I was like, oh, I'm just journaling, spending time with God before I start my day. And I didn't share details about being a single mom or anything, but he just kept telling me over and over, and he's like, you need to share your story.
That's powerful.
It was really powerful. But then you had one with your house.
I did. But I was living with you. We didn't have a house here yet, right? We moved here in faith, knowing that this is where God wanted us, and so we moved here, and we're all in your house. How many of us?
It doesn't matter.
A whole lot of us.
Felt like amazing though.
And the house that God gave us, the miracle house, has a freaking podcasting room in it.
Good thing we use it. We've
That's true.
never podcasted.
We've never
in
actually
once.
podcasted.
But it was a sign.
Yes, it was a sign.
It was
confirmation because
How many houses do people go look at and they're like, oh, there's a podcast room? None.
Right?
We had looked, I think we probably looked at 15 houses. None of them had a podcast room.
Right. None.
And none of them were 6 houses
None.
away.
And I have always known that I have things to share.
Yeah.
I have space in this world that God wants me to make an impact on. But I think in certain seasons, he calls us to be quiet because we're going through some kind of refining process or some kind of healing process. And through this podcast, he's like, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Let's go. Use your voice.
And there's something special about you and I together with our vulnerability, with our history, with all the things that we're learning and how we support each other, and just so much growth that has happened between you and I. Like, we both feel like, I don't know, we both have this dream that you and I are going to have some sort of business together that we're going to help women. And this is kind of the start of it. So
Absolutely.
So, okay. So what has been some of the things that have happened in the podcast that you're like, this is awesome, and I didn't anticipate it to be awesome?
Oh my goodness. I think finding my voice
Okay.
has been huge. And I don't think I'm totally there yet, but I'm finding it more and more. The platform is giving me a place to share my story, to share what God has done in my life, and a place to speak into women's lives, the things that he puts on my heart.
I love that.
And I never would have seen myself as someone who would speak in front of a lot of people,
Right.
or I'd go play piano in front of a lot of people.
Right.
I'd give a performance.
Right.
But I think it's just incredible how God is giving us this platform and the countless just messages and texts, the encouragement, the questions, the thank y'all so much for sharing that. I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Or what you guys really said was so helpful and so encouraging. All the feedback has been amazing. Like, we have an entire folder dedicated
Yes.
to screenshots of y'all's messages, text messages, and private messages, and things that you've sent us that have been encouraging. We have an entire folder dedicated to that.
Well, I think especially because when we do this, we forget that the public sees it.
Right.
So then when we get these messages, we're like, oh, people were there for that conversation? I forgot about that.
Right.
I'm so glad you received it well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we forget that this people that we know see it, or that the people are going to comment on it. But for me, what I love is that as we were figuring out life with you here, it got busy. And this gave us dedicated time for you and I to stay connected.
Right.
Because even though we're not partners, like as far as like you and your boyfriend or a husband or anything like that, like what people typically think of partners,
Right.
as best friends, we still have to put time and effort when we're busy moms, busy single moms, working moms, all the things are on our plates. If we didn't have this, we would have easily gone weeks without talking to each other, not talking, but seeing each other and
Right.
connecting. And I love that it was like, God was like, I know that this is going to be such an interesting year for you guys to figure out life with each other there. And your relationship is so important. So having this podcast keeps you connected because this was a goal we had. And so I love that, because no matter what, no matter how busy, we made this a priority because it just spoke to us so deeply. But what it's done is I feel like it's helped feed our relationship so that we still miss each other because we want to spend more time with each other. But no matter what, we at least have once a week where we're doing stuff together,
Yes,
which I think is
intentional time.
Yeah, exactly. Quality time. So that's what I love about it.
I love that. And I love how authentic and real we are.
Yeah.
We each have these visions of what God has given to us for this podcast.
Yeah.
And we've stayed true to that.
Yeah.
And I really love that. We're not conforming to anything, to how other people run podcasts or how many times they post on social media, or we don't feel the pressures of any of that. God has called us to this. We're going to do it true and authentic to who we are and what he's called us to, no matter what that looks like.
It is so windy, by the way. It's
is
wicked windy. Hurricane. Oh my gosh.
I'm ready. I can teach all of you how to do this.
I just love, we do filter some because there's things that you just can't put online. But I also
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a lot of thoughts we've got to keep just to ourselves. But I do feel like we share vulnerable things that people need to hear. We're not afraid of hard conversations.
Right.
We're not afraid of that. But I had
I think I want you to share this. There was an example of a friend that you had who came to you and said, I kind of need to talk about this hard thing, but I
Mm.
feel like I can because of y'all's podcast, because of
Yeah.
what I've heard. Can you share a little bit about that vaguely with,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was just, I
still-
mean, I think I've had a few of just the general idea of whether it's an example or just this idea and this concept and perspective that you and I have discussed, where in this scenario is like, there's a relationship that's important.
Yeah.
And because it's important, I'm willing to have these uncomfortable, hard conversations, which you and I have talked about how we've had those and we do have those. And
Right.
they're just like, oh yeah, like normally I would just let it go and let it fester and whatever. And in this scenario, it was like, right, but like I care about this person in this relationship, and so I'm willing to have that. And what that did was awesome, because the love we felt for each other and the willingness to be vulnerable, I don't know, it was just such a cool opportunity to grow outside. Like it was a great experience for me too, because you are my safe space. I'm learning to have those safe spaces outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us to take our safe space and then me get to experience it with somebody else, I was like, that's kind of cool. And
Yeah.
for them to be able to be like, okay, you talked about this on your podcast, so I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay.
So I'm going to be brave and do it.
Yeah, we did. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, that's so cool. So let's talk about just a little bit of our vision, or what you want for the podcast. What are some things that you're looking forward to? What is this next season of podcasting?
I love our growth. I love when we listen to old podcast episodes, or we listen to, because sometimes we'll record and they don't post for a long time.
Right.
Because, and I love the connection with God. I love getting to create with God. And I feel like so many times when we're in this space, our conversations are so led by Him.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like when we're deciding what episodes to post when, we are led by them.
Yes.
So we will hold on to certain episodes until the timing's right, but we don't know why. And I love being in that creative space with God. It's some of my favorite places to be. So I'm excited to watch ourselves grow and just to continue to grow that relationship with God.
Yes.
And to see what He wants, like to see how we can continue to be instruments in His hands and watch what He does with us.
Yes. I love that.
What about you?
I think for me, the biggest thing is just continuing to find our voice and stand in that. I feel like this entire year has been practice.
I feel like life is practice.
I know, right? Like, and we've had so many good things to say and so many amazing episodes for sure. But I think I'm on fire more now than when we first started, because we've completed an entire year. And I feel like God just has so much on our hearts to share.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I love it. What I want to do is I want to keep growing. I want to grow our voice. I want to grow in with our hearts and our ideas and all of those things. But I want to stay core to this idea of we are not here for the quote unquote followers.
Absolutely.
We are not here to be influencers.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to share a message. We are here to be a community. We are here to learn, because how much have we learned through this process? Through this, we have learned so much. And I just want to keep using this space for that creativity, for learning for us, and to be a community. But for me, I was like, it's not about the numbers. It's about the people. It's about the interactions we've had. It's about those people who do reach out and say, thank you for this episode. I needed to hear that. Or I have questions, and it sparks the conversation. I'm going, this is why we're here.
Absolutely.
We are here to start conversations, not just be like, here's the topic and then we're done. Talk to us. Communicate with us. Let me hear your perspective.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And for that, I mean, just for the one woman out there, right?
Yeah.
If this episode, any episode, affects one woman and it brings you any kind of encouragement, job well done.
Well, to be honest, I feel like there's been plenty of episodes where I'm just like, I needed that. I needed that conversation. So if it doesn't even reach the people, and I'm like, you and I had this moment, or I had this moment.
It's serving us.
Sorry, guys.
You guys are still along for the ride.
But yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to work on something that, I don't know, just feels like a lot of service, and I love that. I love being in that space.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you too. I love that we bought 12 cupcakes, and neither of us can eat this.
Nope, I cannot have, I can't have dairy,
any
gluten,
of the things,
sugar, eggs. So really, like the whole thing I can't eat.
Yeah, I'm doing no sugar and no.
There could be salt. I could have salt.
You could have the salt. Yeah. No, and I can't do sugar or simple carbs. So literally all of this.
We can
or
have
dairy.
The candle. You can lick
we can
the
have
candle.
the wax.
You can lick the candle, but not the part that's in the cupcake.
So we literally bought 12 cupcakes for us to light on fire and be like, "Yay, happy birthday!"
Yes, we did. Happy birthday! You're lucky we didn't get an entire bouquet of balloons. Okay.
At least we would have enjoyed those. But now our kids get to have cupcakes. But
I am so grateful that God brought us to Utah, that he placed us here, that he put this podcast on our hearts. And I am expectantly excited to see where he's going to take this and what he's going to do.
I love that. I am so grateful that you have been here to help push me out of my comfort zone, because this ain't it. This is not my comfort zone. I mean, the porch is, and you are, but I don't mind sharing my story, but doing it in such a public way like that is so outside my comfort zone. And to have it go so beautifully with the response back, I'm just really grateful. Really grateful that the hate comments haven't come yet. Giving us a minute. But anyway, I'm grateful to have stepped out of my comfort.
I deleted them.
So glad. I'm just so grateful that I had this opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and watch myself grow and watch you grow. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to connect with other people.
I love that. Do you remember there was in Texas when I lived in Texas and we were Marco Poloing all the time, and I told you, I said, one day you're going to tell your story and you're going to speak to tons and tons of women, and you're going to share your story and you're going to encourage them and you're going to impact them.
This is not a crying episode.
Look where we are.
I know.
Look where we are. And also, like, not to like write the story or predict the future here, but
Please do.
I'm just saying you might need to be prepared to speak to women in person soon.
Oh, crap. Okay, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the first year of our podcast, and I'm hoping to do many more.
Yes, thank you for all of the following and the comments and the likes and the messages. Continue. We love interacting with you guys.
Make a comment. What has been your favorite episode?
Oh, I love that.
What has been your favorite episode? And we'll join in. I'll have to think about it.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
I love that.
Until next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.